Steelers Nation, we're back. And let me tell you, your team is working harder than ever behind the scenes to improve, evolve, and build a true championship contender. Whether it's the quarterback saga, wide receiver shakeups, or now the contract storm brewing with a certain superstar linebacker, the Steelers are trying to put all the pieces together. But today's news? It hits a little differently. And before we dive deep into it, hit that like button to show support for the grind, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a heartbeat of Steelers action. Let's jump right into the fire. The T.J. Watt contract drama just got a heavy dose of reality, and not from any anonymous source or baseless rumor. This time, it's from a Watt himself, J.J. Watt, who, although careful with his words, made a statement that should have every Steelers fan sitting up straight. They waited too long. That was the takeaway Mike Florio laid out on Pro Football Talk while referencing JJ's recent remarks. JJ didn't openly blast the Steelers, but if you've been around long enough, you know how to read between the lines. And the message is loud and clear. The front office dragged its feet, and now the price to keep one of the greatest defensive players in football just went through the roof. T.J. Watt has been absent from the early phases of OTAs. Fans noticed, media noticed, and yes, the team definitely noticed. It's not just a veteran rest day situation. It's contract tension, plain and simple, and it's totally understandable. The market has changed dramatically. The Browns shattered the edge rusher pay scale by giving Myles Garrett a $40 million per year extension. Danielle Hunter is now at 35.6 MHz. And here we are, with TJ, a 30-year-old coming off a slightly down year, but still the heart and soul of this defense, waiting, watching, and making a statement without saying a word. Now the question on everyone's mind is, did Pittsburgh fumble this negotiation by waiting too long? Let's break this down. This isn't just about numbers. It's about identity. You don't win in Pittsburgh without defense. You don't win in Pittsburgh without T.J. Watt. He's not just a player. He's the engine, the leader, the enforcer, the tone setter. And if you remove him from this equation, whether by refusing to pay him or forcing a trade, what message does that send? Both to your locker room and to the rest of the league? But let's not pretend this is a simple decision. If you extend TJ now, you're likely giving a player in his 30s a deal worth north of $40 million per year. That's quarterback money. And with the team still figuring out its long-term plan at quarterback, that's a risky move. If you don't pay him, well, then you better prepare for the noise. From fans, from media, from players, and maybe even from the Watt family. And here's the kicker. If the Steelers delay any longer, that price tag is only going higher. Micah Parsons in Dallas is about to reset the edge rusher market. Trey Hendrickson is pushing the Bengals into a corner for a massive extension, and if either one of those deals drops before Watts, well, say goodbye to $40 million. You might be looking at 45 millimeters territory. This is the high-stakes business of football, folks. Waiting doesn't always equal leverage. Sometimes waiting just makes the hole deeper. Now, if all that wasn't enough drama for one day, let's shift gears. Because with George Pickens gone, yeah, still feels weird saying that, the Steelers have a glaring need at wide receiver. Mark Kaboly, our trusted insider, just dropped an interesting name on his podcast. Gabe Davis, the former Jaguars wideout, is now a free agent and could be a strong fit in Pittsburgh. He's got size, vertical speed, playoff experience, and most importantly, availability. But as Kaboly said, it's all about money. Sound familiar? Davis was brought in to be the guy in Jacksonville, but that changed fast when they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Now he's out, and Pittsburgh could pounce if the price is right. But let's remember, the team already invested heavily this offseason in DK Metcalf. A $150 million deal. That's WR1 money. But who's going to line up next to him? When Pickens was still here, the dream was clear. Metcalf and Pickens as a 1-2 punch. Unstoppable. Now, the WR room feels like it's been reset to square one again. One proven monster, and a lot of unproven guys behind him. And that brings us to a bigger conversation. Because in today's NFL, one elite wide receiver isn't enough. You need a duo. You need options. You need to force defenses into impossible choices. Metcalf draws a double team. You need someone else to burn him. Otherwise, you're running uphill all game. So will it be Gabe Davis? A trade deadline splash? Or maybe someone already in-house surprises everyone and breaks out? That's what training camp and preseason will start to reveal. But right now, it's all guesswork. Let's not forget, the Steelers have been stockpiling future picks. That gives Omar Khan options. If the right trade becomes available, whether it's another WR or even a contingency plan at edge rusher, Pittsburgh has the ammo to go make a move. And hey, some fans believe this team is already preparing for life after TJ Watt, accumulating assets, building flexibility. Is that the real plan? So here we are, mid-May, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are still circling the same question that's dominated the entire offseason. Will Aaron Rodgers actually wear black and gold in 2025? It's been one of the most captivating storylines across the NFL. Rodgers, a four-time MVP and future Hall of Famer, has kept everyone guessing. And even though many signs point to a possible Pittsburgh landing spot, from his praise for Steelers players to insider buzz about contract flexibility, the man himself hasn't confirmed anything. At 41 years old, coming off a torn Achilles and a rough 5-win campaign with the New York Jets, Rodgers has more questions surrounding him than ever. But here's the thing. If anyone knows what it takes to win at an elite level later in a career, it's Peyton Manning. Yep, Peyton Manning, one of the smartest and most respected minds in football, was recently asked about the Steelers' chase for Rodgers, while out playing a round of golf, 97.1. The fan caught up with Manning and threw him the question, does it actually make sense for the Steelers to go all in on Rodgers? His response, I think so, Manning said. Look, the guy is super talented, probably has arguably one of the best arms of all time. It's just kind of elastic. I don't have any insight on that, but hopefully he gets with a team soon and kind of gets going. Would be fun to see him back on the field. That right there is a pretty big endorsement from one of the best to ever play the position. Let's not forget, this is a guy who knows what it's like to play through pain, manage expectations late in his career, and still carry a team to a Super Bowl. If Peyton says Rodgers still has it, that's no small opinion. Let's really think about what this means. Peyton Manning isn't just tossing out a casual opinion. The guy lives and breathes football. Between his deep film breakdowns on ESPN's ManningCast and his ties to the league's top minds, Manning is a quarterback savant. And when he says Rodgers still has elite arm talent, even at 41, that's something worth listening to. He didn't downplay Rodgers' age. He didn't sugarcoat the recent struggles in New York. But what he did do was focus on what still makes Rodgers special: his quick release, his deep ball accuracy, his football IQ, his feel for the game. Those things don't just disappear overnight. And with the right team, they could still thrive. Now, if Rodgers were to sign with Pittsburgh, what would that look like? Well, this is a franchise built on defense, toughness, and tradition. They don't need a QB to throw for 5,000 yards. They need one who can make the right plays, protect the football, and hit on explosive moments. Rodgers can still be that guy. Imagine this offense. Rodgers under center Najee Harris and Jalen Warren in the backfield DK. Metcalf as your WR1 Pat Freiermuth at tight end, a young, hungry offensive line. With that setup, Rodgers wouldn't need to be Superman. He'd just need to be steady, efficient, and make the defense pay when the moment calls for it. That's not just a playoff team. That's a legit contender. Of course, the big if still looms. What if Rodgers doesn't come? Well, according to team insiders, the Steelers' plan B is already in place. And let's be honest, it's not nearly as exciting. If Rodgers turns them down, Mason Rudolph is expected to be the Week 1 starter. Yes, the same Mason who came back late last season and showed some grit. But is he a long-term answer? Most fans would say no. Behind him, It's a battle between rookie Will Howard and Skylar Thompson, a developmental guy with some upside. That trio doesn't exactly strike fear into AFC North defenses. That's why the Rodgers pursuit matters so much. He represents hope, relevance, and the kind of stability under center this team has lacked since Ben Roethlisberger hung up his cleats. Let's be real. This isn't a safe move. If Rodgers signs and gets hurt again, the criticism will be brutal. If the offense doesn't click, the drama will follow him to Pittsburgh. But if he stays healthy, even for one season, the payoff could be enormous. And with legends like Peyton Manning backing the move, you can bet the Steelers' front office is listening. Because sometimes in this league, you've got to bet big if you want to win big. So here we are, Steelers Nation. In one corner, you've got the T.J. Watt contract saga, a legend entering his 30s, still elite, but now commanding a number that could define the franchise's salary cap future. In the other, you've got a WR room that needs answers fast if the team hopes to compete in a stacked AFC North. You can't pay everyone. But can you afford to lose a cornerstone like Watt? And how do you truly replace a wideout like Pickens? Does Gabe Davis move the needle? Enough for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What should the Steelers do with T.J. Watt? Would you give him $40+ million? Would you go get Gabe Davis? Or trust the young guys on the roster? Hit that like button if you want this team to make the bold moves. Smash subscribe so you never miss a Steelers update. And as always, thanks for riding with us, Steelers Nation. We'll be back with more exclusive updates. Let's get ready for a wild summer.